1, 2. There we are. All right. Well, welcome back to the After Hours podcast. I'm your host, Fransisco Delator. With me today is my co-host, Joey Prohaska, and we're lucky to be joined with Frankie Solarik from the Barchef in Toronto. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you guys?
It's good. It's been raining the last week and a half, so
Bummer.
Could be better in terms of like outdoors, but I can't really do much in quarantine anyway, you know.
Yeah, no, that's fair for sure. We're all stuck at home for sure.
So tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get into, bartending and just the food and beverage industry?
So I guess I started bartending in a small cigar bar in my hometown in London, Ontario, here in Canada at the age of, I guess I would have been around 17, 18. And that's when I was, first introduced, it was a cigar bar. So you were allowed to, smoke inside. So there was like older gentlemen that would be, coming in and enjoying, cigars, different various types of tobaccos, with either ports or scotches or cognac or, cocktails. And, that's when I was first really introduced to the idea of, flavor profiles and aromatics. And, I would listen to these guys, talk about the different nuances of complexity that they were finding in the tobacco and the way it paired with the, the liquid they were consuming. And I was just completely amazed. It kind of, took me back, and I essentially became obsessed with the idea of, the complexity that can be found, within liquid and aroma and how it all plays together. So started bartending there. And then, I was actually, at the time, I was on the national climbing team for rock climbing. So I was traveling to Europe, and then when I was traveling through Europe, I worked as a bartender in the UK, in England, and that's when I was, first introduced to. It was actually at a bar called Revolution, which was like an infusion bar. So it was like a vodka bar that they infused all these different, sweets and candies and things like that into vodka. And so that's when I actually was introduced into, the idea of working with infusions. And although I wasn't, fully part of the development of the product that we were working with, I was still able to, taste them and just interact with the ingredients, the finished product. So it was an eye opener for me as well. So I feel like every single, little aspect of my career along the way, because I guess I've been bartending 41 now. So I guess I've been bartending, 40, sorry. I've been bartending since I was 18. So we're looking at like 22 years. I've just been fortunate enough to work with people along the way that have kind of, contributed to where I am today, essentially. So I'm pretty lucky. So after bartending in the UK, traveled to New York City, where I was working in a uber fine dining restaurant there called Tocqueville. As a food runner, essentially. So one of my jobs was to, I'd work in the kitchen, with the chef, basically just garnishing and finishing plates before they were, presented to guests. And so just, being immersed in that environment, that kitchen environment, I can still remember the beautiful colors and the aromatics from all the ingredients, and, the way that the beautiful, pristine white plates would contrast with the, colors of the fresh ingredients and all of that the chefs were working with. So for me, that really excited me as well. So I feel like that contributed, compositionally to where I am today with my just perspective on plating and the way that I kind of have this, ability to kind of create color palettes on different service pieces, et cetera. So after Tocqueville, in New York, moved to Toronto, and I was attending George Brown College, here in the city. And while I was studying, I was working as a bartender, and I was given, this was about 2001, I was given the opportunity to create a cocktail program for a restaurant here called Rain, that's no longer open, but it was amazing. Super, super fine dining, really cool, chef there named Guy Rubino. So I developed a cocktail program there. I was there for a couple of years and just worked around different restaurants and bars, in Toronto. And then finally about 2007, worked at a place called Cultura, where I met my current business partner, Mr. Vanderveen. And 2008, we opened Barchef, and here we are today.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you have a pretty diverse background, from being in Europe and infusion bars to upscale dining in New York and everything in between, really. But yeah, that's awesome. Where do you think your inspiration comes for modern mixology? Where you take different aspects of senses, you take presentation, you take smells and stuff like that, and you really infuse it well with the alcohol you provide. Where do you think your main inspiration comes?
It's a mixture of a few different things that contribute to, the overall inspiration. I take huge inspiration creatively from nature, working with beautiful ingredients, and when it gets into service pieces and creating different references of perspective, there's almost like inspiration from every single medium. If it's different set design for particular movies, I really enjoy kind of watching movies that do a great job of really capturing a tone or essence of a particular environment. So I take inspiration from that, as well as, music, classical music and jazz, etc. Working within the modernist movement, I think has always been kind of my direction. It's always been the idea of challenging the genre, challenging, the medium, which is the cocktail. I never wanted to, even like back in the day, before we opened Barchef, I was kind of, not that mixologist or that bartender that was, obsessed with replicating recipes from, the early 1900s for classic cocktails, et cetera. My whole direction has always been to create a new, movement towards new flavor profiles, working with new ingredients, just an overall, new revolutionary experience when it comes to the cocktail experience, and how far can you actually take that experience by incorporating, different techniques. If it's, tactile elements that you interact with in service pieces, if it's textures in the mouth, different aromatics to increase complexity of the cocktail, et cetera. So I think it's just always been a perspective of working within a movement, and it'd be like that modernist kind of abstract expressionist movement of modern mixology.
Nice. So you've been to all these places and you've had all these experiences, but I want to know, what was the very first drink that you ever created completely your own?
Ooh, that's a good question. Very first drink. I would say, so when I was working at Rain, there was, so I did the cocktail program there was very, Asian influenced, because it was an Asian restaurant, kind of like, Asian fusion. So it was pretty modern, Asian influenced restaurant and cuisine. So I was doing some pretty pushy stuff back in the day, considering it was 2001. There was I remember a Togarashi Caesar, incorporating like a Togarashi spice and, just 5-spice blend, working with tomato water and nigori sake, and kind of just, an adaptation of the classic Caesar, but more of like kind of Asian influence. And I'd say that was probably one of my first, fully solo created cocktails on the program. It did really well, actually, like toasted sesame on the rim. It was really cool. So.
Yeah. So when you created that, did other people just be like, oh, wow, like Frankie just created this awesome new cocktail, and then they started to push you for more? Is that how you really got into it? Or
I think it was just it was a natural evolution for sure. And then, as the menu changed, as the food menu changed, I would just constantly evolve, working with new ingredients and new techniques to try and, pair the program with the menu that chef was preparing. It was just a constant evolution of pushing and working with new flavor profiles. And, to be honest, the thing is with mixology and what I do, it's a very visceral expression. It's a very internal creative journey, if you will, for me to be able to create cocktails that people haven't tasted before, flavor profiles that people haven't tasted before. It brings a lot of joy to me. So I like a healthy obsession with what I do creatively, for sure.
I mean, I think you can talk to any artist about that, right? They're always obsessed. They're always looking for something new and creative. And I think you just have that in your genes.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that for sure.
So I was on your website and I was looking over your menu, and I saw somebody had posted a picture of the toasted old fashioned. And this is the first time I've ever seen an old fashioned that's, sold in a bottle you can get somewhere, not at a bar.
Yeah.
So
I'm enjoying one right now.
Oh, really? You're gonna have to ship one. Yeah. That looks really good. So yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. The toasted old fashioned, to taste that liquid, I almost prefer to refer to it as like a liquid experience, just because the flavor profile just captures Barchef in such a beautiful way. The toasting of the chamomile flowers that we're using in the bitters, and then just the overall complexity that comes out of that bottle. I mean, it's crazy for sure. A lot of people are really excited about it. It's been a really cool experience with Barchef Project, and getting into the retail market with us being able to share our approach with what we do at Barchef, but with such a huge audience. It's been really cool for sure.
So what was the inspiration behind that? Was Was there a reason that you wanted to distribute a mass market item like that?
So, I mean, on my end, creatively, the whole reason I do what I do is just to overall, as a consensus, just elevate the expectations from a guest perspective of what's possible within the genre of cocktails and flavor profiles. So, we've been doing a bottle-aged cocktail program at Barchef for a few years now. And, I mean, it's truly amazing what happens, over time, in bottled cocktails, what happens in the bottle with our particular style of cocktail that we do, incorporating, such a dominant flavor profile with spices, because the essential oils and the spices, they evolve and, amalgamate in the bottle over time. It's truly fantastic. So it was my business partner's idea. He was like, one day he was just like, hey, we should be bottling our cocktail. We should bottle a cocktail and see if we can, sell it to the LCBO. And fast forward, here we are today. And it's, it's amazing. Like, we're in over 100, stores locally here in Ontario. We have a thing called the LCBO, which is the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. And that's basically the only store that you can, go to buy, spirits and stuff. So, to be able to have a product in, on shelf in, over 100 stores, it's really cool for sure. Just to be able to, be in people's homes, have them enjoying Barchef cocktails at home. It's a magical thing for sure.
So Frankie, you said your product, it's all over Canada. Have you ever had any thoughts of bringing it international to the United States, to Europe, and just all around the world?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely the intention. Like right now, we're focusing on developing the brand here in Ontario, and then after that, we'll be working on international distribution for sure. That's the goal.
Yeah, definitely got to get our hands on some of that.
Yeah, it's delicious, man.
One other thing I was going to ask you about while we're still talking about preparation and creating fine cocktails is how much time or how far in advance do you think you have to estimate for some of the stuff you guys prepare in house, like your homemade bitters, your syrups, herbs, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I mean, the program at Barchef is run very much like you would, a kitchen. It's a constant inventory and monitoring of the perishable items, because, with Barchef, it's a culinary approach to cocktails. So it's the idea of working with the freshest possible ingredients. So we handle the program and, ordering and the actual maintenance and execution of the program the same way a chef would, in a fine dining restaurant. So it's the idea of just, working with fresh ingredients, constantly, keeping an eye on quality, the bitters themselves, with the aging process for our bitters being, some at 3 months and a little bit less for time. It's just constant maintenance of, and overlooking sales figures and making sure that we have enough quantity on hand to be able to execute the program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure nobody is ever disappointed. Who doesn't like a fresh cocktail, right? With all the finest ingredients. Are most of the ingredients you guys get like locally grown in Ontario, or do you guys source them?
So, I mean, we do try and work with local suppliers as much as we can. I mean, we're a little limited here with some ingredients, but yeah, we try to, support local farmers as much as we can for sure.
Nice. I mean, right now, we don't have anything as good as the old fashioned, but we have a couple brews, we're just having a good time. Do you still enjoy a cold one with the boys, or are you strictly a cocktail guy?
I love beer. Beer's tasty for sure. Like a little Pilsner Urquell every once in a while. But yeah, I mean, it's, I do drink cocktails for sure. I enjoy wine as well. It's all dependent on the celebration and what's happening. All
right. I can dig that for sure.
That's awesome. So you said you're drinking old fashioned right now. Is that your go-to drink when you usually go to a bar or go to your own bar?
So yeah, I mean, it's, to be able to, like with the toasted old fashioned with Barchef project, just to be able to open the bottle and just pour it out directly over ice, and you've got, cocktail bar quality cocktail. I mean, it's truly amazing for sure. So I would say, as far as like one of my favorites, the old fashioned for sure. Martinez is another delicious cocktail. Negronis, you can't go wrong. And every once in a while as well, I do admit I enjoy a little double Jack Daniels with a dash of cola, not going to lie.
Actually, a guy on our last podcast, he was talking about a Negroni, but he didn't really get into too much detail about it. So can you explain to the people that don't know exactly what a Negroni is?
Yeah, so a Negroni, classic cocktail. It's basically a blend of equal parts gin, sweet vermouth, and Campari. So you kind of have all of the essentials that are needed in the classic definition of a cocktail you have it all in there ready to go. So your gin is your spirit base, quite herbaceous, and the botanical elements that they use to produce gin, you have a lot of complexity there of different spices and florals and herbs, etc. So it's quite a beautiful spirit to enjoy and work with as a mixologist. After that, you have Campari, which is like, it's the bitter component in the cocktail. It's quite bright, quite floral, fragrant. There's like orange tones in it, a little bit of like, green strawberry, little orange blossom as well. So it's like that would be your bittering agent. And then lastly, you have sweet vermouth, which provides, a little bit of length and then sweetness to balance. So it's delicious.
Yeah, those all sound great. Yeah, he said a bar he went to, I can't exactly remember where, but he's like, the only thing you can get is a Negroni or a Pagoni. He's like, if you order gin and juice, you get a Negroni. If you order something else, you get a Pagoni.
That's funny. Yeah, it's a good drink. Why not?
Yeah, he was an old-fashioned bartender, I believe in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And those were like his just two specialties, and people only came in for those two drinks. If you tried to get anything else,
cool,
he would not let you do it.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Amazing. That's cool.
So what would you say your favorite part about owning a bar is?
Owning a bar is a really amazing, I feel very blessed for sure. It's an amazing opportunity just to, work with people and meet new people every day. And just, as well, just the creative freedom to be able to create a program that's completely not limited. It's been an amazing experience. I feel very fortunate and blessed to be able to do what I do creatively and make a living by it. So, it's hard work, but anything that's special and anything that's beautiful is hard work. So, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, if you're going to, work in the industry and, open up a business, it takes hard work. You have to love it just because the amount of time that's invested to be able to make it successful. But what a beautiful experience. What an amazing way to make a living. I always tell our team at the bar, it's like, imagine how many, musicians or sculptors or painters or different artists working with different mediums, are just like, would just kill for the opportunity to be able to, express themselves creatively and make a living by it. People that work in the hospitality industry, if you're, either back of house in the kitchen or working as a bartender, to be able to interact with people, provide, joy, for people that are celebrating, particular things and coming out to your bar or restaurant to do that is an honor for sure. So it's amazing. I feel very fortunate.
It's awesome that you get to do something, that you love every single day.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
So you said you planned on bringing your old fashioned all around the world, but how about other bar chefs? Have you thought about opening up another restaurant anywhere else?
Yeah. So, I mean, we've definitely thought about it for sure. It's, it's been something that, my business partner, Brent, and I have discussed in the past. We get a lot of, people coming in and, wanting to open Barchefs in their hometown. Like we were talking with some gentlemen from Dubai for a while. But the thing is, for us, it's Barchef is such a special place, and we have people travel from all around the world to come specifically to Toronto to go to Barchef. There's part of that thing as well, that element of like, if you open 2 or 3 or 4, it takes away from that magic that is Barchef number 1, Barchef in Toronto. So, I mean, it's been something that we have discussed recently. There's been, some opportunities that we're, discussing, but, the program at Barchef as well is so involved, and it's so different from your traditional, cocktail bar or restaurant that, it's a different beast for sure. So to be able to, open, 2 or 3 Barchefs, it will take a very, very, very strong infrastructure. Which we're currently working on as well. It's not out of the question, but at the same time, we're in no rush for sure.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't mind having a couple more in the States.
Yeah, that's fair. We'll keep a note on that.
It makes sense, though. With how high quality your place is, opening another one, it might be hard to keep that throughout, 2, 3, or even like 5 restaurants or bars.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
I mean, there's only one Frankie Solarik, so.
No, that's fair. I know. I gotta work on the cloning thing for sure.
But no, you're talking about Toronto, and there's countless news articles and just press about how you're a staple to the Ontario culture, specifically Toronto. I mean, people from all around the world, like you said, come and visit just to see Barchef. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Toronto plays a big part in the brand that you've created? Do you think it would work anywhere else?
I think, with Barchef being as successful as it is and what we've achieved, it's a bunch of different little things that have, fit together so perfectly to get us to where we are today. I think, the market, like when we opened in 2008, it was a very conservative time in the market, in the industry as well. And at that time, there was an overall obsession with classic cocktails. No one was doing anything really that was like more, avant-garde. So it was kind of like the perfect time for us to get open Barchef and kind of, focus on our expression and what we do. Toronto is an amazing city, and the guests that we have, coming to join us at Barchef for cocktails, I feel like, Toronto's scene, it really embraces, expressionism and just people that are, trying to express themselves. So the Toronto people have been amazing, just very open to what we're doing at Barchef, very receptive. And then, we were fortunate when we opened, we just started to, receive quite a bit of, press both locally and internationally, which essentially got the ball rolling, and the word started to spread about what we were doing. And there's no better city in the world that we'd want to be in for what we're doing. So we feel very very proud to be Toronto born.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Toronto. I've been 3 times now, and every time has been awesome. The city has such a great atmosphere. Everyone there is, like you said, receptive, so kind, and just willing to have a good time. And I'm willing to go back for sure.
Yeah, amazing.
So your business partner, does he make drinks along with you, or is that generally what you focus on?
No, so Brent focuses on, the operations, the brand, the design element as well. He's also curated the spirits and the back bar and what we do for, he has a huge passion for spirits. And so he's been, working really hard at that as well. So he focuses on the operations of the brand and just, making sure that everything is running and functional. And then on the polar opposite side is myself, and, the more of the kind of very obviously the cocktail element of what we do. And then, the overall kind of composition of the guest experience from the cocktail side of things.
Yeah. So you guys, it sounds like you're a little yin and yang there.
It's the perfect balance. It's amazing. I feel very fortunate to have a business partner like Brent, for sure.
What would you say is Brent's best quality or his best characteristic to have as a business partner?
Brent is, fanatically obsessed with the details of, what his responsibilities are as much as I am with mine, and I think it's an amazing partnership and relationship that we have, obviously, built on the respect of the other person's strength. I think that's key in a relationship when you have a business, a successful business. It's all about, respect. So, I feel very fortunate to have Brent as a business partner and for us to accomplish what we've accomplished with Barchef as a team. It's been amazing for sure.
And so you said he takes care of most of the operations and stuff like that. Who designs the interior and like the aesthetic that you're going for within Barchef?
So the design, was a collaboration, between Brent and I for sure, but he definitely has a better eye for the overall interior design, the feel of the space. He's got a good eye to detail when it comes to design. His idea, we put the back bar in recently. I guess it was a few years now. He was the one that kind of led that reno, and it was amazing. We discussed it obviously what we were going to do, and then to see it kind of come into fruition, what he had in his mind to where we arrived was amazing. He definitely has the eye of detail and design, which is awesome for sure.
Yeah, that's good. That's something that I definitely lack. I do not have a designer's eye. I'm not very artistic or creative or anything like that. More of a numbers guy and like strategy. So to have something like that in your corner, it's got to be awesome.
Yeah, it's important too, right? That's the thing. It's got to be a blend of both worlds, right? You see, there's no business without art, and there's no art without business.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So you guys have a lot of special drinks at Barchef. Do you guys have any food there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we do like elevated, snack plates, and, we do like things like cheese and charcuterie. We have a new menu as well that our chef has put together that we'll be releasing when we reopen. elevated bar food, essentially, like a lot of like nice, bold, strong flavors. It's, but like approachable. I think the thing is with Barchef is that, that because there's such a huge emphasis on, the challenge, when it comes to what's possible within the cocktail experience, that we wanted to go a little bit more approachable on the food side, just so that, there's that reference of approachability.
You said you kind of like it approachable. So do you experiment a little bit with your food, or how does it work with that?
I think it's just the attention to detail when it comes to, beautiful composition of flavor, as opposed to, working with any type of modernist, manipulation or anything like that when on the food side of things. At the end of the day, we are a bar. But at the same time, what we're challenging and what we're doing with cocktails, we keep it a little bit more approachable and safe on the food side.
So does the food play into the the psychology behind like modern mixologies? Do you guys strive to create food that's like really aromatic?
Absolutely, man, for sure. Yeah, that's a great question, because there needs to be the same amount of emphasis, in a confined space like a cocktail bar. You do have the ability to play with, aromatics, and that contributes to the overall tone of the experience. And I think that's something that we've, really been able to excel at Barchef, is utilizing every single element of the guest experience to be a part of the composition. It's like a piece of the puzzle that creates the experience that is Barchef. So when working with, cuisine and what we do in the food side of things at the bar, with this current menu that we're going to be dropping, it's, working with, beautiful aromatics and, the fresh ingredients and flavors that will stand up to the cocktails, but not overpower.
Right. Speaking of how, I don't even know what the right word is, but just how bold your presentations are and your drinks. Do you find it's pretty contagious when one person at the bar orders a smoked Manhattan or a Sailor's Mojito or just some really like bold, cocktail? Do you find that other people in the bar also like, oh, that looks really good, maybe I should get one of those too?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Definitely. Like when you see service pieces kind of, going through the dining room, and then you have, guests turning around being like, holy moly, like, what is that? What is that? And then that's generally what leads to, additional orders of that particular item, just because when you see the elaborate service pieces and sometimes the use of illumination and different techniques, to have that travel through the dining room is pretty eye catching for sure. So I think it definitely kind of, leads to additional sales after that for sure.
And something I thought was really interesting as well was, I believe it's the smoked Manhattan. You guys burn the fire chips and then you put the drink on top after they've cooled down, and it creates like the smoky aroma with a glass on top.
That's correct. Yeah, that's our signature cocktail. That's the world's first cocktail, world's first smoked cocktail.
Wow.
Yeah. When we come to Toronto, about to get a couple of those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's pretty cool. Like, at this point now, like when, we've been open now for 11 years, to see people utilizing that technique, that smoking cloche technique, all around the world, it's amazing, because, it's truly something, as an artist, that's the goal, right? To be able to contribute to your medium in a way that creates like a legacy, something that lasts longer than what it is. Essentially, for us to be able to have created a technique that's being used in bars around the world is pretty cool for sure.
Yeah, they say emulation is the most sincerest form of flattery. So I'm sure you probably take a lot of pride in pretty much creating a new movement in the cocktail space.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's an awesome. That's very kind to say. Yeah, it's pretty cool considering how much I look up to and respect chefs that have done the same thing. Like you look at chefs like Ferran Adria and Albert Adria of El Bulli, and then you have chefs like Heston Blumenthal and Grant Hackett of Alinea in Chicago. They are the forefathers, like the OGs of the modernist movement, and in cuisine, and to be able to create that same type of approach and movement on the mixology side is pretty cool. It's pretty crazy that Barchef has become the reference of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other techniques that you guys have found at Barchef that have been starting to circulate around the world?
I have noticed the whole thing with the program at Barchef is just constant, evolution and constant reinvention, if you will, of working with new flavor profiles and new techniques and ingredient manipulation, et cetera. So, I have seen stuff now like, flavored ice is something that's being used a lot as a technique in the mixology world. And when we started doing that, I guess it would be back in 2014 2012 maybe. I hadn't seen that. Like we hadn't seen that anywhere. So it's, to be able to have that going on now too, where you're starting to see some of our ice techniques being used at different places, and just overall like service pieces and the use of, dry ice and aromatics and, all these different things. It's pretty cool to see the impact that Barchef has had on the industry.
The smoked Manhattan, would you say that's something that's going to be on your menu forever?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a signature. Like we have people travel from all over the place to have that cocktail, so it's pretty special.
I was looking through some of the press that was on your website as well, and I believe it was in 2015 you guys had the best daiquiri in Canada. Is that true? I believe it is.
Oh wow, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't remember that one, but it's possible. It's a good one. It's popular.
You guys cover a wide variety of flavor profiles and stuff like that, from whiskeys, bourbons, all the way to like daiquiris. Is there like a process in place that you have, like trial and error and giving it to guests and stuff like that? Because it just seems like you guys perfect everything you do.
Oh, it's very kind to say. Yeah, I think at this point now we have the ability to, I think just because of having such an intimate relationship with the ingredients over the course of such a long time, that we've gotten to the point now where, each cocktail's like composition is coming from a place of experience working with those particular elements and those ingredients. And it's the idea of kind of not deconstructing, but looking at cocktails and the compositional process in a different way. It's the idea of categorizing ingredients in particular ways that when you pair them together and work, and they just tend to work very seamlessly. So I think it's just, because of that obsession that we've had with the ingredients and flavor profiles and the aromatics and every single element of what we do at Barchef for so long, it's just gotten us to the point where we're able to create cocktails that work, that flavor profiles that really, blend really nicely together.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you guys go like a step further than, the average mixologist or the average bar. And it almost is like you reverse engineer and you take the best components from each thing and then put it together into something that everyone seems to like,
Yeah. Whenever we do like, seminars and tutorials for mixologists, like I always say, like it's the idea of being able to, transfer the perception of flavor and aroma to color composition. So generally colors that work together, colors that, are blended to create a particular composition. Let's say, for example, like a fall themed, painting generally would work with colors of like, oranges, browns, reds, dark greens, etc. And if you transfer those colors to flavors and aroma, you'll find that they work beautifully as well together, the same way that they would visually. So like, for example, when you're looking at, flavors of browns, if you will, you have things like cinnamon and maple. Then you go into like reds, which incorporate like apple and, autumn tones like, squashes and different things like bitter almonds and star anise and, chocolate and darker green tones like rosemary, for example. They all pair beautifully together. So that's one of our techniques when we look at, flavor composition and aromatic composition. It's the idea of transferring flavors and aroma to color tone.
Right. And on the opposite side of that, I'm sure it'd be kind of funky if you give someone a drink that's it's red and it's blue and it's very bright and you think you're getting something that's like berry and then it tastes like mint, right? I think that it would turn off the complete appeal of drinking it at that point.
Yep, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. It's a technique that I work with a lot. It's just overall like visual reference and the manipulation of perspective. It's a very cool technique.
So are you also into like art and painting? Because I feel like you have a good eye for it by, the conversation we're having.
I don't know. Like I love art. Like I like a huge respect for arts of any medium. For me personally, I'm not the best drawer, but it's kind of, I do draw quite a bit just because of, working with different service pieces and new concepts and stuff, always kind of sketching. But no, I focus mainly on the modernist mixology.
I mean, you're a master of it, so, just doing what you're good at, I guess, but it doesn't hurt to have some hobby.
I appreciate that.
We've had a few different perspectives on this, but when you go out, do you usually go to your bar or do you go to somebody else's?
So I mean, there's a couple spots that I tend to go to and frequent when I do go out. I don't go out very often, but when we do, we have just a couple of late like spots that are pretty mellow and chill and just kind of go get a couple, plates of food and a couple drinks and pretty chill. Barchef, I mean, it's such a cool bar. So, anytime that I do have, guests from out of town or anything like that, we always, meet up at Barchef for sure.
You're obviously a very inspirational person, and all the stuff that you've created is world renowned at this point. Do you still encourage your staff and other people that work with the business to have that same creativity? Do you allow your workers to also try and challenge the norm?
Oh, absolutely. 100 billion%. It's so important, to be able to, like, Barchef is that energy is built on creativity. So for our team, it's so important that they're able to express themselves artistically as well. So, the guests have the ability to, come into the bar and just order stuff that's, off menu, based on particular flavor profiles that they enjoy and or et cetera. And the mixologist, we absolutely, appreciate, and make sure that they understand that they are totally free to be able to express themselves creatively. It's what Barchef is all about. It's what Barchef's here for. It's the idea of art and self-expression.
Yeah, I figured that was the answer, but I just had to know for sure because I might be looking for a new job there. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, that's pretty sweet though. And have any drinks made it onto the menu from your workers?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So what we do now with our menu releases is we'll sit down collectively as a team and taste all of the options that are being submitted. So each mixologist will put together a few options based on spirits that we're going to be using on the menu and overall kind of tone. Every menu, every release tends to have like a particular tone. Like, for example, the spring and summer menu that we're launching when we open, the tone of that menu is the vibrancy of spring. It's like particular colors of whites, yellows, and greens. So the team was tasked with creating cocktails with flavor profiles that kind of embodied that tone. And then so we sit down and we taste all the cocktails that are submitted, and then we decide as a team, which ones work, how we can improve or what we need to change. To get it on the menu. And, I think that's key. There's no I in team. So it's very important that we all work collectively.
So how often do these menu changes happen?
We used to change the menu seasonally. So every season we would drop a new menu. And then recently we've switched over to doing two, pretty elaborate changes for the year. So we do one for spring and summer and fall and winter. So there's more significant changes happening on those menus, and we've reduced down to 2 releases.
Yeah, it's a good way to definitely keep people, coming back for one if they weren't already interested. But now it's like, oh man, there's new modern drinks. I gotta go try them all, right?
Yeah, for sure. And then also we just need that, creatively. We need that the ability to, to create and express for sure. It's yeah, like I said, it's like what that's truly what Barchef is all about, is just creativity and artistic expression. It's so important for all of us on the team to be able to express ourselves through the experience.
And what would you say was the first cocktail that you had that had challenged the status quo for what a cocktail should be?
I was tasting stuff, back in the day, like when I was at Revolution, that infusion bar, that were, they're quite confectionery and flavor profile, but at the same time, it was definitely, it was an imperative experience for me to go through to see how flavors could translate from being, tangible objects that you can, buy in a, for example, Score. They had a Score infused, like Score chocolate bars. Score infused vodka. And, it doesn't necessarily sound like something that would be, delicious, but, when you actually tasted this product, it was like, okay, I see what's going on here. Like, it literally was a liquid that tasted of, the same flavor profile of the chocolate bar. So for me, that was pretty interesting, and a game changer in my career, because, to be able to, that's what I do now essentially with every single thing that I put together, of every single element of every single ingredient that goes into every cocktail. So it was a key integral element for me to go through an experience. So I would probably say that would be my answer.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And like you said, chocolate doesn't seem like one of those things that would be great with vodka, but then you also think about the other flavors of vodka. There's vanilla, there's whipped cream flavored, vodka, birthday cake. I mean, they're all out there right now. And, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, that's fair.
Going a little away from the bar and going a little more into your journey, what would you say one thing that you failed at and that you later like overcame?
So I think self-expression is a very personal experience. Like to put yourself out there, creatively and releasing new menus and releasing new cocktails and all these different releases. It's it's a very personal experience. So I feel like one thing that that I've kind of overcome over the course of the years and my experience is confidence in that self-expression. I've been, very fortunate over the years to just work so closely with these ingredients that from failing in the beginning before we opened Barchef, you're always going to have those trial and error, if you will. So to have those experiences where, you've worked with, trying to do things, and it still happens now where I'm trying, to work with new techniques and coming up with new techniques. I mean, that's the coolest thing about, the modernist movement is it's the idea of, not opening up a cookbook and referring to a recipe. We do everything for the very first time at the bar. The idea is to create techniques, to create flavor profiles, etc. So, it's always an evolving learning experience. So to be able to take, the failure of trial and error and grow from that, I think is a very strong attribute.
And they always say, if you're going to fail quickly and learn from your mistakes, but then also take the experiences from that, I guess, quote unquote failure, and then move on to the next project and take what you've learned. And it sounds like, even if something fails in the kitchen, it might inspire someone else to try something outside of the box in that same field, right? So.
Exactly, for sure. Like a lot of the time, you'll be working on a technique and it won't work out, but it'll create something else that's, magical as well. So it all depends. You just got to let the creative process do its thing,
Yeah, absolutely. And then if somebody wants to, become a modern mixologist or even join, being an entrepreneur or opening their own bar, what is something that you think is an essential skill when either joining the modern mixology era or, starting their own bar?
Oh, passion. 100% passion and authenticity. Like you need to fully and truly love it. And it needs to be a part of you. I have a quote that I say, in order to create compositions with harmonious depth and complexity, you must build an emotional attachment to your ingredients. And it's the idea of, the ingredients that you're working with being a part of you. It's like being a musician or a painter and just being completely obsessed with the sound of the notes, or the color tones of the colors that you're working with, the texture of the paint. There's so many different elements. To be a perfectionist, to be a true professional, you need to be completely obsessed with your genre and your medium. So for me, I would 100% just say an authentic passion and love for what you do. If you have that and you truly love what you do, then beautiful things will happen for sure.
Yeah, that's with any entrepreneur, really. You don't get ahead in life just being an entrepreneur. It's doing what you love, doing it 18 hours a day, and then being able to replicate your success and teach others, right? So I think you've pretty much mastered that skill.
Oh, I thank you. I appreciate that.
This one might be a hard one for you because it seems like you're so passionate about what you do. But if you weren't operating a bar, what do you think you would be doing right now?
Okay, that's a good question for sure. To be honest, I love fragrance. I love the perfume industry. I take a huge inspiration from perfume. I think it's truly beautiful. Some of the to be able to capture an essence or a tone with an aromatic like a fragrance, I think is really cool. To be honest, I think I'd probably be working in the perfume industry in some capacity. Maybe just trying to or like a perfumier, maybe composing scents. Would be my dream gig for sure if I wasn't fortunate enough to be able to do what I do now. So I would probably say I'd work in the perfume industry at some capacity.
Yeah, and up until this podcast, I would have put perfume industry and bar industry on just completely separate sides of the spectrum. But the way it's described now, it actually makes perfect sense.
Oh, it's very similar, man, for sure. Like if you look at, the scents and fragrance, like the way that there's body, there's heart, like there's bass tones to a scent. At the same time, there's accents, there's high notes, etc. Like extremely complex. In a beautiful perfume or cologne, like you can take it apart the same way you'd be able to, a beautiful flavor profile of a liquid. It's like the idea of just mass complexity, and creating that visceral relationship. The olfactory system is very powerful in the way that it's directly connected to our brain. So, in our amygdala, which creates emotion. So the way that we associate flavor and aroma with emotion, it's very closely attached. So I think that's probably why I have, such an interest in the perfume industry as well.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Did you study psychology at university or anything like that? Because it seems like you have a really good grasp on it, more than I do, that's for sure.
Oh, I haven't actually. I have an interest in the human mind and the way that we perceive things. I think, for me creatively, to be able to use perception as an actual ingredient in the composition is pretty cool. And the coolest thing about it is that it's happened all naturally as well over the evolution of what we've been doing with the program at Barchef. It's definitely an interest and passion of mine for sure. Just the human mind and the way that we, perceive is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you could describe Barchef in 3 words, what would those words be?
Ooh, okay, that's awesome. Authentic, beautiful, and magical.
Love it.
Yeah, that's my 3 words.
Yeah, I mean, they fit the theme really well, and I can't disagree with that.
It's a magic place, man. Like when you open those doors and you walk into Barchef, it's the idea of like, the door has a particular weight, so that it kind of, creates that anticipation, and you walk in and then it's dark, but you hear the auditory elements of, shaker tins, like with ice shaking and, people talking, and then you have, the beautiful aroma. Like Barchef has like this crazy beautiful aroma from just like, the years of aromatics that, we've been doing, the smoked Manhattan and, the amount of spices that we have, for the program and everything. So the overall space just resonates with this beautiful aroma, that guests always mention. They're like, they always mention like the smell of Barchef is so special. And that's a cool thing too about the toasted old fashioned, is that I've had people, take a sip of it and be like, this literally just transports me like right to the bar, like instantly. So it's really cool for sure.
And so, you're an upscale bar in the heart of Toronto. Do you find that like you guys get a lot of like local celebrities like Drake, or do you guys get any Toronto Maple Leafs that come in or anything like that?
Yeah, we do. We have we've had a good list for sure of celebrities and local celebrities that have joined us over the years for sure. Anywhere from Jay-Z, Drake used to come in quite a bit. He hasn't. He's a busy guy these days. I haven't seen him recently, but yeah, he used to frequent Barchef a lot. We've had some pretty cool people like Serena Williams, Lawrence Fishburne. There's been some pretty cool guests for sure over the years.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's crazy that you get, the opportunity to meet so many different people from so many different places. And, your place is just a place that everybody wants to be,
Yeah, it's cool, man. I feel very fortunate. I never ever take that for granted. Not a single second goes by that I take that for granted. I think it's pretty cool for sure. Living the dream, man, for sure.
And when you do drink a little too much, is there a hangover recipe in your opinion?
You know what? To be honest, I don't know. Have you guys had a Caesar before? Have you ever had a Caesar?
Absolutely.
I have not actually.
Oh, okay. You gotta have a Caesar, man.
What is that? I'm curious.
It's clamato. Clamato is basically tomato juice with a little bit of clam juice in there, and it sounds disgusting, but it's so good, man, and it works. Like a Caesar when you're hungover, literally will just fix it up like right away. I don't know what happens there and why it happens, but yeah, you have a Caesar when you're not feeling so hot the following day after a night out, and you'll be feeling better for sure.
That's awesome. I usually go for like a Bloody Mary or a mimosa.
Yeah, it's similar. It's similar for sure to a Bloody Mary. It's just there's just the addition of the clam juice and the moss tomato juice or whatever. They just add a little clam, and it's good, man.
You guys serve those at Barchef?
We do not actually. No, we don't do Caesars, but we do have some stuff that we could whip up for you. See, that's the cool thing. If you're a guest and you come in and you want to have you ask for a Caesar, we would say, oh, well, unfortunately we can't make you a Caesar, but we can do something off menu incorporating, fresh tomatoes and basil and, brine and, green olives and all these different things to be able to achieve a similar kind of flavor profile and tone, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean that's one of my dad's favorite drinks after he's been after a night out in the morning, like right around 11, right before noon, a little sleeping in, and then Bloody Caesar or Bloody Mary. That's his go-to for sure.
It works. He knows. Your old man knows.
Yeah, he's been around the food and beverage industry his entire life as well. So that's part of the inspiration for me being on the podcast. Is I also have like an obsession, I guess, with just learning more about the industry from my father. He's told me so much and cool stories like that.
Oh, good for you, man. That's awesome. That's cool.
And then you said you're from London, Ontario, right?
Yeah.
What is your favorite hometown restaurant?
Ooh, my favorite hometown restaurant. So we had a restaurant in London called Garlic's, and it was so cool. Like it was basically a restaurant concept, built around garlic, and they had like a garlic ice cream. There was like all kinds of cool stuff that they did. It was a super fancy restaurant. So when I was, in town in London, I couldn't go there very often. But I remember taking a couple of girls there on a date, and it was a pretty cool spot.
So garlic ice cream, how does that taste?
You know what? To be honest, man, it works for sure. Like it's cool. Like when you start getting into savory ice creams and stuff, it's really neat how that creamed tone works with different savory elements for sure. It kind of adds like a glaze on the palate, and then you just get through your olfactory, through the aromatics, you just get all that complexity of the garlic in this case, and it worked well for sure.
I totally believe it. I mean, there's some weird combinations out there that, they surprise me every day. So
yeah, for sure. Interesting.
I just got to know, I'm a big fan of, spices and hot sauce and stuff like that. Are you a big fan of spice?
You know what? I actually have over the last year probably, grown to really enjoy hot sauce for sure. Like I've got some scorpion pepper sauce now that I've been working on. It's cool. So, spice is good, not too much. But just the right amount can be really enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, me and my roommates, we actually just got like a 1 million Scoville hot sauce. It's called Trinidad Scorpion. Oh wow! I don't know if that's what you're referring to, but it's really good.
It's a scorpion pepper that's in there. It's a scorpion sauce. I don't know if it's hot for sure, but it's not ghost pepper hot. So I don't know if it's the same one. But 1 million Scoville, that'll be hot for sure.
I think that's what the pepper's rated at. I don't think the hot sauce is quite that hot, but as for me, like I just usually go with Cholula or something like that. I can't do the whole Trinidad Scorpion.
No, Cholula is good, man. That's a good sauce for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then were you gonna say something, Joey?
Oh no, I'm good. Unless you had something.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're in the same room, and it's like we look at each other, and it looks like he's about to speak, and then it looks like I'm about to speak, and then we just end up nobody ends up speaking.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I know it's the era of learning all about these conference calls and Zoom meetings and all this stuff. It's funny because you get these we actually haven't had one. You guys have been very good, but sometimes you'll get these awkward silences and everything, and it's like, okay, you talk. No, I'm not gonna talk. I'll wait. You talk. No, I'll talk. Oh, anyway.
Yeah, we feel that. It's definitely a lot easier in person, connecting to the person and getting to talk, 15, 20 minutes before having a drink. Yeah. So remote podcast can definitely be a little hard to get into, but you're very good at interviewing. So it's been pretty easy with you.
Oh, awesome. Well, I appreciate that, man. No, you guys have been great.
Awesome. Thank you. As we're starting to wind down the show a little bit here, what is something that someone at home, the average person, what can they do to spice up their cocktail and make it just a little bit better in your opinion?
You know what? I think it's like, as with anything, like if you're cooking at home, it's the same type of idea, play around, try working with new ingredients, new, things that you might not necessarily thought would work together. Sometimes they'll surprise you and make something beautiful. So, I always say, if you're looking at elevating your mixology skills at home, it's about working with fresh ingredients. So going to the store, if you're going to be making mojitos, get the freshest, most beautiful mint and lime that you can, work with fresh ingredients, because all of those ingredients have essential oils on the surface area of what they're doing, right? So anytime you're working with them, to release those essential oils is how you achieve vibrancy. So it's very important to always be working with fresh ingredients. Play around, and there's so many resources now online with, for mixology, like different cocktail books and different videos and podcasts and all that. So, just experiment, have fun with it. Think outside the box a little bit, and you'll probably end up surprising yourself for sure. But fresh ingredients are key.
What's one unlikely combination that you've created at home that, if you can think of any?
So for me, I mean, right now, currently working with white chocolate for the program at the bar, we're doing a lot of really cool stuff with white chocolate, and it's amazing, like how well it pairs with a wide range of ingredients, anything from truffle to coconut to basil to grapefruit. It's really, really cool. So and as well with like white chocolate, I'm talking like, that nostalgic, Easter bunny, like white Easter bunny chocolate, like that stuff is really cool to work with. So I've been doing some really interesting things with that actually. So I would say like, the flavor pairing of, and chocolate as well, like, regular chocolate with like rosemary or star anise or, caraway is really cool. Like there's another really cool ingredient to work with is patchouli. Patchouli is really, really neat and pairs beautifully with all kinds of really cool stuff. So yeah, you just gotta, have some fun and play around with new ingredients.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like when you create drinks or cocktails or food at the bar, you want to almost, evoke that emotion from somebody of like nostalgia. Do you find that every person has like a little bit of a different reaction to when they try something?
Oh, 100%. It's one of my favorite things to pull out of the guest experience is I utilize nostalgia as an actual ingredient in compositions, just because think about like how powerful that makes that experience, how visceral that experience becomes if you have like a, nostalgic reference to something that you're tasting or you're smelling and you haven't, smelled it or tasted it in like decades, to be able to have that just pop. When you come to Barchef and you take, like we've had guests, for example, I'll give you two examples. So we had a gentleman had a cocktail that we used to have on the menu called the Madman, which incorporated aromatics of leather and, there was a little bit of tobacco and cherry and maple and all these different flavor profiles. But the aromatic of leather is very dominant in the composition. And so he had the cocktail and then he came up to me after his experience at Barchef and he said, listen, he's like, I just want to let you know that, he's like, I had the Madman tonight and it was like such a powerful experience for him because when he smelled the aromatic component on that cocktail, which was, aromatic of leather, it brought him back instantly to his very first, baseball game that his dad took him to and the smell of his baseball glove. And I'm like, for me, like to be able to create that emotion on, from the guest perspective is the reason why I do what I do. Like that's pure energy. Like that is pure emotion, pure passion to be able to, to be taken back to that time, like instantly just through aromatics is crazy. And then we also had a young lady, who received a cocktail on our menu called the Spring Thaw and, is aromatics of moss and soil, grapefruit and, cedar and lilac. And when she smelled that blend, that aromatic blend, she began to cry because it reminded her of playing in her grandma's backyard that backed onto a ravine when she was a little girl, So like to be able to hit people's nostalgic emotions like that is amazing. Like super, super stoked. That's exactly why I do what I do for sure.
That's so amazing, Frankie. I'm going to have like a completely different view on alcohol and drinks after this.
Oh, absolutely, man. For sure. You got to come to Barchef.
When you guys open back up, we're down.
We're crossing our fingers. It should be, we're hoping I'm thinking maybe a couple weeks, maybe we'll see. I don't know. Like I guess, you guys are not open yet there, are you, or no?
Yesterday was the first day that bars in you could go inside of bars. About 5 days ago was the first time you could go outside and still be at bars. We're on the edge of like Michigan and Ohio, and Michigan is still about like 2 weeks to a month out of like reopening completely. So we just kind of started that.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so we're probably looking around a similar timeline, I think, for sure. I think we're looking at about a couple weeks. Hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope. It's so cool being able to like go back out and hang out with your favorite bartenders and go to your favorite establishments.
Oh,
so
yeah,
spend so feels like.
So I feel like you're gonna have a pretty crazy story with this one. What would you say is the most thrill-seeking thing that you've ever done?
The most thrill-seeking thing that I've ever done. Oh, that's a good one. You know what? To be honest, Oh, well, I mean, I used to do some pretty crazy stuff with rock climbing, that's for sure. I think I did a talk recently, well, not recently, I think it was like last year in Berlin, at the Bar Convent, Berlin. And it was on, Barchef and our approach and the evolution of the program. And it was, the first time that I'd been asked to speak in Europe, on the program at Barchef and what we do at Barchef. And so I was very excited for that opportunity, and to be able to, to get up on stage and share our approach, with that many industry, professionals all in one spot and have them, have their full attention for, an hour was awesome. It was such a cool experience because whenever I do public speaking, I get super into it, super, excited and throw my hands around and just get really into it. And I love the opportunity to share about, and speak about what we do at Barchef. So I would say, although I've done some pretty crazy stuff that people would probably think is pretty crazy with rock climbing and the dangerous aspect of that sport, I would probably say my most thrill-seeking experience would be speaking, at Bar Convent Berlin in front of all those, people and just being able to share, our approach at Barchef and what we've done. And even to be able to, be asked to go to Berlin and do that is pretty cool honor. So I would say that's my answer.
Yeah, I can tell even on the podcast, you're very passionate about what you do. And I can only imagine in a room full of people, auditorium probably of people watching you, I can imagine that's just probably what you love to do at this point.
Oh yeah, man, I get super into it for sure. I love public speaking. I love the energy of it. It's like live TV, whenever you do morning shows or live TV making cocktails, I love that energy, it's cool feeling for sure.
So you mentioned you did rock climbing. Did you play any other sports growing up?
I played a little bit of soccer and baseball, and tiny little bit of hockey, but both hockey and soccer I was not very good at. Baseball I played for a little bit though. Baseball I was pretty good. Okay.
He's a big hockey guy.
I'm in love with hockey. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's a cool sport for sure. I was that skater that, because I was young, I was that skater that my ankles looked like they were going to snap off because my blades were all on an angle all the time. And I was just I wasn't into it. It was cold. I was like, no.
You were only skating on the inside of your blades.
Yeah.
But one of the traditional questions around here is, do you have any good ghost stories? And we ask that from every guest, and every person usually gives us something a little crazy. So do you have any good ones?
You know what? I actually probably, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now, to be honest. I think I've had some pretty crazy stuff with just things moving or just that feeling that for sure that someone is in the room with you, or that feeling, someone's behind you that, if you're going up some stairs. Yeah. I actually can't think of a full on ghost experience. I don't think I'm going to have one tonight now probably, but no,
I'm going to say fingers crossed. Let's keep it that way.
Yeah. What about you guys? You guys got a good ghost story?
All right, Joey. Joey's he's from a farm town, and some paranormal stuff goes down there. So, Joey, take it away.
Yeah, I guess I always have a good one. I don't usually share it too often, but I keep it for situations like this. So,
okay.
This actually wasn't in the farm town. This was in at my mom's. She's around Cleveland, Ohio. So my grandma always, when she touches a Ouija board, stuff just happens to come true. It's really weird, but usually I never believed in that stuff. But My mom and my aunt and my grandma told me a story when they were younger. My mom and my grandma were playing Ouija board with two of her friends. And the Ouija board told them that 2 weeks later, their house was going to burn down. Not exactly like that, but in that sense. And then 2 weeks later, my younger aunt actually got caught in the bathroom and hit a candle into the recycling or into the trash bin. And their house actually caught on fire.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
It could be complete. I'm sure it's just complete crazy coincidence. But to this day, it's one of the best. It's the realest experience I've had with ghosts, at least,
Wow, that's cool. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, those Ouija boards, and they're pretty scary. Those things. I don't know. I think they're legit. I think they're real.
I'm always 50-50 on it because I feel like when I used to play with my friends, they just mess with us. But like hearing some stories like that from other people, you're like, they might be true. I like I said, personally haven't had anything too crazy, but it's happened with my family. So
so speaking of Ouija board, I actually did play Ouija board when I was younger, like when I was thinking it was about like 15. And I remember asking the Ouija board, I was like, so, what's my favorite jazz song? What's my favorite Miles Davis song? And it knew. I mean, it spelled out the song was called So What? And it's a classic Miles Davis song, and it spelled it out. So I don't know if I did that, but my eyes were closed, so I don't know. But that was pretty cool.
That's freaky.
That sounds kind of real to me.
I guess that's a ghost story. I guess I fully just so there you go. I got a ghost story.
I love it.
What is one life lesson that you learned that you'd love to share with everyone?
One life lesson, just appreciate every day. You gotta appreciate every day. Appreciate your family and friends. Make sure to let everyone know all the time how much they mean to you. And don't take anything for granted. And make sure you always live your life in positivity. Make sure you keep, surround yourself with positive people, and do everything that you do it with love.
Well said. All right, so where can people catch you? What are your socials?
Okay, so barchef.com is our website, at Barchef for Instagram, at Barchef Project, at Barchef Events for our catering, and then mine is at Frankie Solarik.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Frankie. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Hey, my pleasure. Yeah, my pleasure, boys. It was a fun time, man. Thank you very much for the opportunity.